to all of you, our viewers and listeners. Welcome to another exciting, informative, exhilarating episode of Not Wasting a Single Story. I'm your hostess, Dr. Gamuchirai Mutezo, and I love this green couch. This green couch has had lots of ideas, innovations, and inspiration coming out of it. I have a very special friend, someone I've known for quite a few years. The challenge is we're so busy, we haven't had a chance to even get a breather, and just relax, get to know each other. So I'm glad that she's here because I'll maximize a few minutes of that and really just get to know more about who she is as a person before we delve into the various aspects of waste. Mpendulo, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. G, for inviting me. I'm so glad to be here and on this couch.
Oh, wonderful. I always love to get to know my guests because behind all of the activities we do professionally, there's a person. So who is Mpendulo? Where was she born? How many people in her family?
Wow.
Has she moved to Mauritius and worked there for 10 years before relocating? Who is she?
Okay. If you have time, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
Well, as you've said, I'm Mpendulo. The name means an answer.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. And I'm the fifth. I'm the fifth in a family of 6.
Yes.
So I'm still an answer even then. Yeah. So I was born in Swaziland. So my parents, both of them, are from KZN.
Yes.
They met in Soweto. And my father was a political activist and one of the founding members of the PAC.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, so he had to move because of at the time, the political situation. He fled to Swaziland. So only my firstborn sister was born in South Africa, and then the rest of us were born in Swaziland. My father left Swaziland again when I was 3 years old, and we remained there with my mother. So I was born and bred in Eswatini, and got my education there. I remember at the time when we were in primary, my understanding was that we are here, we're refugees, and we need assistance. We have support from the international community to get an education and to do what we need to do. And then I did my first degree in Eswatini University.
Okay.
And then I moved to South Africa in 2006 and furthered my studies in the University of Stellenbosch.
Awesome.
Yes, so it's 5 girls and 1 boy in my family. Yeah. And it's a family of girls, both different characters. I'm the softer girls. There's a group of softer girls and the hard ones. So I'm the softer, nice one.
Yes.
And we had a very nice brother. Unfortunately, he passed away 3 years ago.
Yes.
And he was a very nice guy who loved and born around girls.
Yes.
Yes. My first love is science. I have a BSc in maths and chemistry.
I didn't see the maths coming up, eh? Maths and chemistry.
Yes.
All right. How did I get into maths and chemistry?
Because I always found mathematics to be easy and interesting, and I'll do maths rather than do anything. I read now. I read a lot, but I preferred numbers and puzzles. Actually, yesterday I was talking. My kids are back there in boarding school, so they were just giving us feedback. I was in house school, and my daughter was telling me that my teachers, they're saying that I'm not listening in class, and I do listen, and then they're just surprised by my marks. And I say I had the same problem because they would think that I'm daydreaming, but the moment the teacher writes a formula or sum, I can already know how to solve it, and then I'm looking the other way or thinking about other things.
No wonder you're the answer.
Yes, so it's always been an easier and more interesting thing to do, and I see how the application of mathematics even now. So I did my degree in mathematics, did it all the way to the 4th year. Although I used to ask myself sometimes, so how am I going to, how do we apply this? How is it going to apply in real life? And after working now for over 20 years, I can kind of see the applications, and I hope to go back to do a bit more maths.
Wow, you're not done with algebra, Pythagoras, Fabioni's what?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
And after your first degree in maths, you came to South Africa and you furthered into which discipline?
Yes, so after my first degree, I was lucky to then get a good job with the construction company. That's where I started. I was supervising a laboratory. It was theoretical for me because you can imagine I'm straight from school, theory, and now there's a lab to put together. It was a construction company, construction project.
Yeah.
So that means establishing a temporal lab and then decommissioning it again. So it was a soils lab and a premix lab. And then thereafter, I worked for Coca-Cola, and I can proudly say, that's one of the best companies. And I was privileged to be trained by the best. I always say that, I got training from the best.
Yeah.
Spent about 5 years in Coca-Cola, the concentrate plant in Eswatini, working there as a chemist in the laboratory, and was promoted to a lab manager. And then I just spent a short time there. I was still being developed as well into that position. And at the time, my husband and I were deciding, are we going to move to South Africa or not? And then it just became the opportune time. We didn't have kids then. And I got a job with the SAB to be the brewing lab manager.
Yeah.
And I definitely took that position.
Okay.
To work in the same industry, which is FMCG, but a different laboratory. So from soft drinks to beer. Totally different taste. We do taste, by the way. One of the tastes is...
Then if you're looking for any people who need to be recommended as tasters, I'm just saying, here's my card.
Yes, sensory tasting is one of the tests that is done there by trained tasters and the public, because we need to know what tastes do people prefer. And in different regions, people prefer different tastes.
Yeah.
You'll see when you go to different countries, you find, there's this Fanta that I've never seen, or this Coke or this beer. It's because of what they prefer and also what resources are there.
Oh, very smart.
Yeah.
So this is you with your chemistry really coming out.
Yes.
So the maths is still there, but the chemistry is championing the formulas and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's the formula for Coke? We'll scratch that part out. No, I'm kidding. What's the formula?
Yeah. So there is a secret ingredient, by the way.
Oh, so it's not a joke.
It's not a joke. It's for real.
Okay.
So we do. I remember it would be called merchandise X, merchandise Y. So that merchandise is actually carried like something that's as you would see in the movies. Like, look after this ingredient. Don't touch. Don't spill. Don't.
Yeah.
Even when it expires, you don't just throw away anyway. It's protected.
Wow.
And it comes in at a certain stage, and then that is what makes the Coca-Cola. So you forget about stealing or getting
But let me try my luck.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the journey continues as a chemist.
Yes. So the journey continues as a chemist. And then when Coca-Cola was developing me to become a lab manager, one of the things they do, they send you away to be trained. They have a big plant in Ireland. So I went there 2 times. First to be trained as a certified analyst, and then next to be prepared to take up the lab management position. At that time, MBA was fashionable as the next degree in the southern region. If you had an MBA, you knew that I'm going to then be in a management position and get a lot of money. And a lot of money then was 350K. That used to be a lot of money.
Wow. Today with 350K, it can be blown in a day.
Yeah. So, but I'm thinking to myself now, and then there's, of course, the option of pursuing an MSc, which I thought, no, I'm not going to pursue an MSc, something else. So I was looking for something else. I did not just want to do an MBA because of doing an MBA. Yes, I'd seen my seniors, my older cousins, my older relatives and people that I really admired getting their MBAs, becoming senior and doing very well. But I thought maybe there's something else, and those are the conversations I would have with God, that, something else. Then on a flight to Ireland.
The second flight now.
The second flight now. I just happened to be sitting to the second flight from London to Dublin. I'm sitting next to this elderly gentleman, and we start talking. He's asking me, so what are you doing? What do you want to do? And then I tell him that I'm looking for something to do, but I'm not necessarily an MBA. And he's like, you know what? The next best thing is sustainable development. Have you heard of that? I'm like, no, what is that? I don't know what it is. Dr. M, he spent the whole flight telling me. He was so excited, he was even sweating. He was a professor, by the way, a German, who was studying in that space for years. He's even when we dropped off in Dublin, he said, follow me, I'll tell you more. Gave me lots to read, bought a book and said, this is what you should do. This is the next thing.
Bought a book for you. Wow.
The Fourth Discipline by Peter Senge. I still have the book. So then he says, this is the next thing that's going to be coming up in the future. It's all about sustainability and sustainable development. So I come back home and I'm thinking, okay, the sustainable development, whatever it is, that's what I need to do. But there's nothing in South Africa and Swaziland. And I'm just taking it. It was around maybe 2005 then. And then in 2006, I moved to South Africa. Around 2007, I just happened to be opening a newspaper, and I see University of Stellenbosch Sustainable Development Masters. And I'm like, okay, this is it. So it just came to me.
It spoke to you. It felt right.
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, this is it. And that's when I started my next journey of going into sustainable development, and understanding what it is.
Yeah.
And what next to do. I think he was right. It's what we're doing and what needs to be done even in the future. So I'm still learning, and I've pursued my studies in that.
A key element I want to remind our viewers and listeners is that there is power in knowledge sharing. What this gentleman did for you, wow, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you're exposed to it. And I'm hoping that conversations of this nature may expose others who are trying to also figure out what's next, where to go.
Yes.
In the space of sustainability and waste management can also inspire them to take on a similar journey like you've done. So shout out to the gentleman. If he ever has a chance to watch this podcast, we're saying, hey, thank you for the nudge, because now we have Mpendulo on the green couch.
Yes.
See what I did with my words?
Yeah.
Feel it toasty. Okay. Now you do this wonderful degree at Stellies. Where does waste come into the picture?
So waste, when I start my waste story, I always say I think waste is a calling. And you will probably agree to that. Everybody that's doing this, you ask yourself at some stage, why am I doing this? But you realize that it's actually a calling. Yeah. And where I track my calling down to in terms of waste is when I was like 6 years old or so. I remember my stepdad was a mechanic, and he, when I used to find like spare parts like on the road, I'd pick them up and give them to him. And for some reason, he used to say, thank you, as if he's going to use it. Now I know that I'm older, that he probably never used those things. Yeah. But then I think that's where my mind was, that, you know what, you can take something and use it. You mustn't throw away. So to me now, I'm thinking in retrospect that was the calling.
Wonderful.
Then in high school, I joined, there was a club called Yonga Nawe, Save the World. And, at the time we were talking about the ozone layer, which is being depleted. What must we do? Because we need to save the world. So the simplest thing to do as a student was pick up papers. So we'd go out. Also, it was nice to go out because I was in boarding school.
That was your outing for the month.
It was an outing to go. So the inspiration came there. Then I was also president of that club in high school, and we were picking up the papers, not bad. And then when I was doing my master's, and at the time I was working for the CSIR.
Okay, you worked for CSIR.
Yes, so from SAB, I went to CSIR. I changed my career from the labs. I decided, it's great being in the labs, but let me see what else I can do to support the labs.
Yeah.
So then I became a SHEQ manager, safety, health, environment, and quality, in the built environment labs in the CSIR. Yes. And then I was doing my sustainable development master's degree then. Then I had to decide on a project. I was heading I was also then environmental manager. I moved from being a SHEQ manager at CSR to be an environmental manager. It was a new position, and we had just been hit by the issues of escalating electricity prices. Now I look at it and I'm thinking, actually, it wasn't that bad compared to where we are now. So the focus was electricity, water, and waste. And then for some reason, the waste just kept, pulling me. Yes.
Come.
Saying, come to me, come to me. And waste is also, the softer science of the three, if I can say, when you look at water and electricity. Electricity, I like energy and electricity. It's quite interesting. Water I always find to be a little bit boring.
We hope we won't have guys the water space watching this.
Yeah. Waste has got a lot of, physical, social issues. Anybody can participate in whatever way when, in terms of waste. If you look at the whole value chain, we've got waste pickers that are participating, but how do you do that with electricity and water? Not really.
Yeah.
You can. So then now it was time to think about my master's project, and I thought I'm going for waste. Yeah. And I had a lot of support, I must say, in the waste sector in my work. I worked at the CSIR. You probably know there's Professor Godfrey.
Ooh, legend.
Yes. Yep. And Professor Suzanne. Yes. So those are women that really supported me when I was putting together my waste strategy at the CSIR and coming into the space. They gave me a lot of guidance and support. So my master's project was developing a zero waste to landfill framework for the CSIR. And it was part of my job. Yeah, and I've never looked back since, kind of not given the other areas a lot of attention, but given my heart and soul and love to waste.
Waste is borderline an addiction. It's like a gambling addiction because you just cannot look back, especially when you know that you can have so much impact in the space. And you had the privilege of putting together a master's dissertation. I think it's called a dissertation, based on the work that you're doing. So it's like impact in action. It's practical and it's academic. That's really, really awesome. Okay.
Thanks.
So this master's program.
And I must say, almost at that time, it was when I met you, and you were busy with the PhD. So I could do more.
Was it that you finished your master's?
I finished it around 2013.
Okay.
Started with an honors and then the master's, but it must be just after that, because then I went to Mintek and then, around that time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Also, for those who are watching, we are also Toastmasters. And we've been feeding off each other, even from a leadership perspective, because that's also an element that the waste management space continues to, shall we say, rattle. Because in making the decisions that we make for our space, leadership is required.
Yes.
And as I'm speaking to you right now, you are a leader of a very powerful waste management association. How did that come about?
I'm going to be honest as I'm sitting on this green couch, from the green couch perspective, give you an honest answer
Please.
of how that came about. I think two ways in which it came about. First, from my character of just being stubborn. I would I would watch what is happening in the industry and in different what things that I'd be involved in, and ask myself, but I can do this. And ask myself, okay, but this could have been done in a certain way. I'm capable of doing this, or I don't agree with this. I think it should be done this way. And then what does that mean? It means I need to participate. In South Africa, we also talk a lot about transformation, and we say we don't want this. And why is this happening? This is not right. What I think we need to do is put ourselves in that space and say, let me then take up the space, because I think I can do it too. That's the one area of, being stubborn and saying, I can also do it. And the other is just the need to learn and to create organizations. I think that what we need in Africa is to learn how to create strong and reliable organizations. And how do you do that? By getting into them and participating and learning. And we have organizations that offer that for free, like Toastmasters, we've spoken about that, and the Institute of Waste Management. It's one large organization that has been working for years. We need to get involved, learn, and then come out and create, and then help the youth that is coming up now to create. But you can't do that unless you learn.
Oh, I want to hug you right now because I resonate. Absolutely resonate. Instead of sitting around the table and complaining, question is, what are you also doing about it? And you said, I'm going to raise my hand. Me and my stubbornness, and be part of the solutions, be part of the explorations and all sorts, which is absolutely awesome. When you got into the Institute, it's been how many years now?
I've been a member for 10 years, almost 10 years. I've started serving in the branch 6 years ago, and then 5 years ago I was in council.
Yes.
So I'm starting on my fifth year of being in council.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
So when I started in council, I was vice president, and then 2 years, and then 2 years ago, I started my president's term, which is ending in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in these 10 years, as a member as well as EXCO, what is the impact that you've seen the Institute have, especially on younglings, their view on waste and their ginger to want to get into the space?
Yeah. I think the Institute has had an impact, and it's also changing because times are changing, and how the position how the organization fulfills its mandate. It's changing to accommodate how the young people want to come in and get involved. And as an old organization, it's also a bit difficult to then, say, how do we change and accommodate those different needs. But we are seeing them come up. And the Institute has also partnered with the international ISWA, which is International Solid Waste Association. So from there too, we're learning what is done internationally. And now we've established a chapter in the region. And even from the chapter, you're getting to see what other young people within the region what role they are playing, what space they're taking. And we've, through that, established a young professionals group, YPG. It was established last year. And that's all young professionals, not only professionals that are in the waste sector, but any other sector.
Yeah.
That is also to bring them in, get them involved, and understand from them how they want to do things. I was just saying to them, it's unfortunate that I'm no longer young. This came at the wrong time.
Relative.
Because they're doing more than just waste. Apparently the gatherings are not about actually doing the waste or the water or the energy. They're going out and doing other things.
Yeah.
So I said to them, that's good. It's actually the best place to get a wife or a partner.
Oh.
Because you get a professional. That's the best place. You are assured that I'm going to meet someone who's a professional. So if you're looking, join YPG, please.
That's a very nice marketing strategy.
Yes, YPG. So I'm also proud of that because it was an initiative that I was pushing and I got the council to approve.
Yeah.
And I'm supporting the youngsters to continue with that initiative.
Yes. And that gives them those physical spaces to ideate and bring new ideas to our sector.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as a mom, what kind of conversations do you have with your children? Similarly, as an aunt, what do you tell your nephews and nieces about this beautiful resource?
I'll talk about, I tell them, there's lots that I try to be as simple and not technical as possible.
Yeah.
One of my nieces loves fashion, and she will make whatever out of clothes or whatever. So I have that conversation with her that, you're actually doing resource management with this. Actually, this can become a business. This can become something that you can live on. It's an art and a science. So that's the conversation I have with them. And with my kids as well, I talk to them about what I'm doing. Initially, they didn't understand what is it that you're doing.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm so glad you invited me here because I've been saying to them, because they like being on social media doing this and that. I'm like, guys, put me on as well. Let me do. And they're like, Mom, your stuff is boring.
Subscribe.
Yes, your stuff is boring. You don't qualify.
Yeah.
So I tell them as well that this is what, life is all about. And I'm starting now, they're older, in 16 and 14, the younger ones.
Yes.
And they're now telling me the stories in a different way. That, we actually saving the world by doing this or contributing to society by doing X, Y, Z. And they're the ones, believe it or not, that tell us what to do in the house, what not to use, how long you should use it, what to buy, etc., not to eat.
Okay. Are they also exposed to other conversations along those lines of, circularity, resource management? Or is it just based on you poking them that they tell you in the household how to handle things?
Yeah. I think the schools are doing a great job as well. And other programs that they do that are outside extracurricular programs, they're quite good and they learn from those. Some schools are doing really well. There was a competition last year at my children's school for over a lot of money to come up with a sustainability project. I actually wrote to the teacher and I said, okay, my children are entering this competition.
Yes.
And they're
Whether
like,
they
Mom,
like it or not.
they're like, Mom, we're still thinking about it. I said, you are thinking about nothing. You are joining this competition. But the challenge was to work as a group and come up with the project that will help the school and the community around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The reason I'm asking this question as well is mindset does play a role in how we welcome ideas. And the saying, it begins at home, is also part of that mindset shift.
Yes.
So to those who are watching this podcast or listening in, these are some of the nuggets that they can also take home and have as discussions around the dinner tables during birthdays and even baby showers.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
the more it's part of our conversation, the more we are part of the change that we want to see. We raise our hands like you and say, even me, the Trevor Noah style.
Yes. At baby showers, actually, there's a reminding of an article that I wrote last year about what to do, the things that you can do for the nappies issue.
Yes.
One of them is have the discussions at baby showers. Older moms can teach the younger ones about cloth towels and make them fashionable.
Yes.
We need to have those, and where do those conversations happen? At home.
Indigenous knowledge systems.
Yes.
Because as much as we use the big words, at the end of the day, there's so many assets at home. It just depends on what we are talking about.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And as we are working to round off our chat, I mean, this is literally breaking the ice or cracking the creme brulee, because there'll be more of these conversations, right? Where would you tell our future decision makers? They're probably in primary school right now playing with dirt. Some of them are finishing off matric. Where would you tell them to focus on within that waste value chain? Where will they have the most fun? Where can they start the businesses? Where can they have the greatest impact?
I would tell them to focus on where the origins of the resources that we use. I think if they have an understanding of that, because that's where I think we kind of lost it, and where sustainability, and especially coming from a sustainability point of view, that we stopped and said, how are we producing? How are we using whatever it is that we want to use to develop? Yes. So I would tell them, focus on the origin, the resource that we use before you rush to the waste and what impacts. Because when you focus on that, you'll be able to minimize and prevent everything else that is wrong down the value chain. And there's a lot of innovation. And these little ones, if you're talking about them, they know how to use a phone when they are one.
Yeah.
So I think we can get a lot from our future leaders if they can start looking at that. And it can also help them to change the way we think, because sometimes if you take someone and plug them into something that's already happening, you think you have the answers. But I think it will open us up to getting new solutions, new answers, innovative answers. So that's where I spend my energy.
Lots of municipalities will really like that, because if you can just sort out that ad source issue, you, as the younglings will say, heaven. It would really just offer a lot of comfort, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that being said, thank you to the moon and beyond. Because it's been a long time coming to find each other here. I do know you're quite funny. You should do some humorous speeches at Toastmasters. And I see you have the serious.
And I'm always serious. They always. I always think, no, I'm not the type that does funny stuff.
Oh, welcome. You're in the right place, because we love the humor. The humor allows us to keep getting into our space, giving it our best, and equally enjoying the process at the same time. Yeah. So it's really been a pleasure having you on the green couch, and looking forward to continuing.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Awesome. Ladies and gents, if you're not following this lady already, you better get onto LinkedIn. You better get onto Google. Heck, get on all platforms and see the work that she's doing. But most importantly, draw the nuggets that she has shared today in terms of knowledge sharing, having the conversations at home, being intentional to be part of the change that you want to see in this beautiful sector of ours we call waste. Until the next episode, surely be intentional and don't waste a single story. Goodbye.